Hello everyone, welcome, my name is Adam, welcome back to another film discussion, and in this episode I want to talk all about physical media versus digital streaming. Now, we'll talk about digital streaming versus physical media, mainly talking about films and TV shows, although my opinions do also apply to music. Now, in terms of digital streaming, I don't actually rate it, to be honest. I don't think it's real. It's up in the cloud. It's like Bitcoin. It's a fool's paradise. I don't believe it's real, you know, and I'm not on board for it. And in fact, I do actually believe it's quite detrimentally harmful to humanity, you know, for early development into a strong, confident, independent adult. And I'll get into the extreme reasons why in a moment. Another thing as well is physical media. There's about 7 different reasons why I prefer physical media, and I will go through each and every one of them. But I don't consider myself a film collector. You know, I feel like I'm more of a film curator than a film collector. Like, I won't go buy something because it's on physical media and it comes with like loads of cool physical stuff and it's massive and I've already got it. You know, if I've already got it and I'm happy with that one, then that's it. I don't need the latest, the greatest, you know, for any and every release. For me, it's always about the film. I'm a film lover, so I curate films. Is how I put it. I am not a film collector. But about the digital streaming, okay. So, like I said, I don't feel like it's real. You know, so back in the day, you know, going back to when it all started, Netflix, off the back of their disc-based service, the rental service, they moved it to, you know, streaming online, and they were the pioneers, the first ones to bring it to the masses. And when it first came out, like, they had a wide variety of titles because they were the first ones doing it, and they had their own content that they were creating as well, and it was only like $4.99, and it seemed like a really good deal. $4.99 a month, and you had access to everything, unlimited, as many times as you want. You know, you didn't have to wait for discs to arrive through the post, which might be scratched, and then have to send back, you know, once you finished watching it. It was instant. You could have it on your phone, your tablet, your PC, your games console. You know, your TV nowadays are built in with these apps, these subscription services. And, you know, when it first happened, everybody, even myself, was like, wow, I don't have to have hundreds of films in a room somewhere. It's all in the cloud digitally, and I can watch it, and it's great. You know, fool's paradise, okay? Seriously. Obviously, you know, 2020 happened, the pandemic, everyone was in a global lockdown, and Disney Plus coincidentally happened at exactly the same time. And, you know, like, Disney own everything, don't they? They own Marvel, they own Star Wars, they have studios under their wing, like Touchstone Pictures, Hollywood Pictures, Dimension Films, Searchlight Pictures, just like 20th Century Fox. So their catalog of what they are allowed to stream, because they own it, is huge. Loads of TV shows, loads of films. Currently in 2025, it's $7.99 a month in the UK. And then you have access to everything. You know, you have National Geographic, you have films. They even own the Hulu service, which is another separate subscription service. So their library is massive. And it's like, you're never going to watch all of that in your lifetime. You know, so you think you're getting a really good deal, right? When in actual fact, you're not. You know, it doesn't exist. None of it's real. It's all in the cloud. It's not in your hand, you know. And now, fast forward to 2025, there's like 15 to 20 of these subscription services where you can stream digitally their library. And like, studios are getting on the bandwagon now, like Paramount Plus, MGM Plus, there's even Peacock, you know, Now TV. It's like everybody's doing it. And so, like, when they started up, all of the content for their studios disappeared off Netflix, and now Netflix, has done a lot more of their own content. And so really, if you still want to have access to a wide variety of content, you've really got to invest in multiple services. Like, I think most people have Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, Netflix. They're like the three major players, but you've also got like Apple TV, and other ones as well. And some you have to buy, like say on Amazon Prime, if you want Paramount Plus, it's then an extra charge. And so it soon stacks up. And if we only take one of these services, say like Disney Plus, the $7.99 service, over a year, that's just under £100, which, if you think about it, you think you're getting a great deal. I can watch as many films, TV shows, binge watch the lot, and I'm only paying less than £100 for that year. Like, totally cool. And I don't have to have loads of space taken up in my home. I can flick it on. I can be abroad on holiday and log into my account. As long as I have the internet connection, I can watch films like on my phone, or a tablet. And it seems like you're getting a great deal. But if you are wanting the film, like suddenly you've got the hankering to watch Backdraft or Black Hawk Down, you've then got to go find it on, wherever it happens to be. And if you're not subscribed to it, you will most likely get the free trial if they offer it. And then watch it and then remove the subscription, or just subscribe, because it seems like they've got a lot of decent content. And soon you've got multiple subscriptions going. And, if you were to invest in all these subscriptions, that just under £100 a year now goes up to like almost just under £1,000 a year. And that's big money. £1,000 for all the streaming services is like a lot of money. And, let's just take a snapshot of 10 years. I'm not saying that any subscription service will be going out of business in 10 years, or they'll be pulling titles, but things can happen. Like your internet can go down, or you might not be able to afford the subscription. You might remove your own subscription, or the titles that are on these services, the license might run out. Simply because, a lot of these services license content that they haven't created or own. The famous one, I think, is Netflix with the Friends television show. They license that from Warner Brothers or Warner Home Video, who own it. And so Netflix get to showcase it on their channel. But, that's a contract between two companies. And if that contract was to ever change, suddenly Friends in the UK would not be available anymore. And, if Warner Brothers suddenly decided they want to start their own streaming service up, then all of their content from all the other platforms will be removed. And if you wanted to watch your favorite film or TV show, now you've got to subscribe to them. So having multiple subscriptions, if you were to get literally all of them, you're talking almost £1,000 a year. And if we snapshot 10 years of your money going to them collectively, that's like almost £10,000 over a 10-year period. That's a lot of money. If I only had £10,000 to spend on physical media, like in terms of 4Ks, which are roughly between £25 to £50, then I'm probably just going to be getting a couple of hundred for 10,000. If I chose to just stick with Blu-ray, which is slightly cheaper, they're priced somewhere between £7 to £20, depending. I could probably now just get a couple of thousand of those titles. Or if I was to go with DVDs, they're like super cheap now. You can get them for like £1 or £2. I could literally have 5,000 to 8,000 films in a library, and be happy with that library for the 10 years. Now, if you're on the digital streaming bandwagon, after the 10 years and you've spent £10,000, you walk away with nothing, by the way. If Disney decided one day we're going to shut down Disney Plus, then everything that you had access to is gone. You've spent all this money and you've got nothing to show for it. You've got nothing to keep you going. You know, if you wanted to watch The Simpsons, you have to have the DVDs, and they only go up to a certain season. They never actually physically released DVDs or Blu-rays after a certain season, so really they're only available now on the Disney Plus channel. And if they decide to shut it down, it's gone, done. You know, most likely they'll probably then start releasing it on digital, on physical media. But my point is, you're paying out all this money over your lifetime, but you're not actually getting anything. You're only getting the access to watch the library, but it's not yours. You don't own it. It's theirs. You're renting the space to view the catalog and watch the titles, but that's it. You know, if I go and buy The Simpsons in a shop on a physical disc, I'm owning that. It's mine. Disney are not going to come knocking on my door every single month going, "Hi, Mr. Pestridge, yes, you owe us a $7.99, please, for this month for you owning that, you know, DVD." Or they're not going to suddenly come take it back off me. It's mine to keep till the end of my life, and then pass it on to the kids, and then, you know, however long the disc will last, which, you know, I think has been sort of rated about 100 years for discs. So for me, there is so much more value in physical media, you know, for that simple financial reason, because with digital streaming, you don't own anything, and you're paying out that money. And at the end of the day, you're paying for a 24-hour service. So for it to be available to you, depending on your internet connection, for, you know, however long you want it, while your subscription is active, you can watch it 24 hours. But you're sleeping 8 of them, you're working most likely 8 of them, and then you've only got about 8 hours play, and you're not going to spend all your time in front of the telly. So how much are you actually getting out of that payment? Whereas when you buy the disc, it sits on your shelf and it's ready for when you want to watch it next. So that's my thoughts on digital streaming. Now, when I said about it's harmful for humanity, you know, it's on a psychological level now. It's really aimed at the young people, you know, and I've seen this in my life. And it's really important for parents to beware, you know, more and more now with technology, with tablets and phones, you know, the youngsters are getting it earlier in their life. You know, like a 2-year-old is given a tablet and, you know, learns how to use it at a very young age and is, you know, very capable, but so easily to binge watch things one after another, you know, on Disney Plus, or maybe even on Netflix on a kid's account, or, you know, even YouTube or TikTok. It's just so easy for a parent to give a child a tablet for about all day, you know, 8 hours or whatever, and then they're just suddenly completely being engrossed in that tablet for the rest of the day. And I see more and more now, like you go out, walk around the town and the city and my work, and it's kids are holding phones and tablets whilst still in their pram. You know, they haven't learned to walk yet, but they can use a tablet. Like, that's going to have a really detrimental effect on that child, because they're going to be so engrossed into that tablet. Their relationship is forged with that device. They're not forging relationships with other humans. They're not having that social aspect of development that is key to every human being. Communication and being able to, you know, talk and relate to another human being, you know, and growing up to be a independent, confident young individual, you know, who can look after themselves, communicate into society. You know, they're becoming such introverts because they just want to sit there on their tablets. I've seen this even around my own life, where the kids don't even want to go to school because they're just so engrossed. And the same could be said for video games, but really we're talking about movies and TV shows. And I'm not blaming these digital streaming services or the makers of the tablets. They're just part of the problem. It's not pinning the blame onto them. You know, they're just fueling the issue. And kids are going to grow up. The next generation will be growing up without the ability to, you know, socialize, because they haven't learned that skill or even communicate. You know, like I've seen a young individual in my life who just grunts, and he's 7 years old. and he's probably about 10 now, because this was a couple of years back, but literally does not talk that much, because every day, all day, just him and the tablet, and it's like, the kid's basically going to need to be looked after for the rest of his life by his parents, because he's not going to be able to do it for himself, because he hasn't been given the opportunity to develop those key skills to integrate that into society when he's older, or when they're older, sorry. And like, this is digital streaming. It's very easy to access it, and kids are getting it very young. But physical media, it's a lot different. There's things you have to do. You have to care for the discs that they can scratch. You've got to load it up into the player, go through a menu system. There is an actual process. That means you've got to be dedicated if you want to watch that. Because by the time you get through loading it into the player, turning everything on, going through the menu, pushing play to get to the film, you might go, I don't actually fancy this now. So only the hardcore dedicated lovers of that film will go on to watch it. So it's less easy, I guess, to fall into that binge watching trap unless you've got a box set, or like multiple episodes on a disc. It's so easy to binge on digital because it's one after another. Oh my god, it's 10 hours later. I forgot to go to sleep. So easy. But anyway, the 7 reasons, right? Oh, mouth's a bit dry. 7 reasons why I prefer physical media over digital streaming. I don't rate it. It's a fool's paradise, guys. You're wasting your money. You're literally being conned by all those makers of the apps and studios by investing into digital streaming. Physical media. First off, availability. I love so many films or TV shows that I've seen in the cinema back in the day or on TV. Point in case, one of them is a great 90s sitcom, British, that was on BBC Two. Only had 3 seasons. The first season was the best. And it is kind of like a British mini version of Friends called Game On. Now, it's not available on the iPlayer. So if I wanted to watch it, I'd have to have the physical disc. It's available on VHS and DVD only, never got a Blu-ray release, and lucky enough, I own it on the DVD. So I can pop this in anytime I want. It's available to me, whenever I'm at home to watch it. Because for me, watching TV show or film, I want to replicate the experience of going to the cinema in my home as much as possible for a film. That's how I view films, like the cinema. Big screen, big sound. I want it on the projector. I want it on my 65 4K, telly with all the speakers, and I want to feel that film. I just don't want to watch it I wouldn't do the filmmakers the disservice of watching it on my phone, because you're not then connected to that film. You're just watching it. You're not feeling it. But if you've got the big screen, the big sound, you're feeling that film. It's now an experience that you're connected directly to, and you're going to remember it so much more. So I have to be at home to watch my physical media. I can't be out and about, in another country. When I'm in another country, I'm on holiday. I don't want to be watching films because I can do that at home. And I do. So I reserve my physical media watching for when I'm at home and I've got my speakers on and I've got my picture on and I have popcorn and cola. Probably why I've got a bit of a belly. Because if I'm watching a film, I've got to have popcorn. It's because this is what you do at go to the cinema. So Game On I have on physical media. There's all 3 seasons here. It's pretty cool. It's a really funny show. The first season's the only one worth watching. After that it gets a bit But that for me is a possibility. It's available to me because I own it on physical media. Now, it's not available on streaming. It's not, it's not there. But not only that, availability is in my control on physical media because I can choose various different versions of a film. So, point in case, Pearl Harbor. The version I have, and the only version I'll ever own, is the 4-disc Vista Series version, okay? That came out in 2002, I believe. And it's the director's cut. It's the only way to watch the director's cut. Now, there's an interesting story around this film. Michael Bay, right, making this film, he wanted it to be true to the events, the horrific events. So he filmed an R-rated film, you know, and it was of a certain length. And Disney comes along because they own, you know, Buena Vista. They own the company that made this. And they said, yeah, we want to get more screenings in per day, so you need to chop off a few scenes. And it's got to be PG-13. We want as many bums on seats for the ching. So you need to make it PG-13. Now, for whatever reason, Michael Bay agreed to this. Probably because he said, well, give me a release, home media release, where I get my director's cut, please. And so this came out. Now, in the theatrical version, it's PG-13, and it's of a certain length. The director's cut is 13 minutes longer, and it is the R-rated cut. This is the film Michael Bay wanted to make. So the censorship on that theatrical cut, which is the only version available on the Disney Plus channel, they're not going to put the director's cut on here, on their app, because, you know, it's an R-rated film. But also, you know, well, I don't know the other reason, to be honest. There is no reason. They could if they wanted to, but they don't. The theatrical version is what's available on Disney Plus. The theatrical version is what came to Blu-ray only, like the director's cut never did. And when it makes its 4K debut, it will be the theatrical cut. I seriously doubt they'll put the director's cut on there. So I have the choice, like this Pearl Harbor set, right? There is about 5 different editions to this film, okay, on DVD. So you've got the theatrical cut 1 disc. You've got the theatrical cut 2 disc with a few extra features. There's even a 3 disc version with even more features. And then you've got this 4 disc version which splits the film over 2 discs and has even more features. There's a commemorative set with even more features. And obviously the Blu-ray theatrical cut. So there's like 5 different versions of this film, and I can choose the one that I want. You know, I've chosen the Vista Series one because it's the director's cut and it's got all the extras, and I love it. It's great. It looks fabulous on my telly. I've done a review of it. Go check it out. But it's my choice to choose that one, and I get to choose it. On digital streaming, none of this, all these choices are already made for you. You got to like it or lump it. Like, that's it. You either on board or get out. You only get that theatrical version, and there's no extras. Now, I think Disney Plus is the only outlier here where they do offer, for, you know, more recent releases, the extras that will be available on the disc, and that's really good. I've seen that on the Disney Plus channel, but in all honesty, I don't think you get the director's commentaries. So, you know, if you're only sticking to digital streaming, you're missing out on so many special features that will appear on these discs. Now, that might not mean much to you, to be honest. Yeah, I like the film. I just want the film. I just want to see it. I ain't bothered if it's got loads of extras or commentaries. But for me, the making of the film, and I think the Lord of the Rings set is probably the one that, you know, first started this off. But I love to see the development of a film and get into the stories behind how it was made. To me, it's just as interesting as the film itself, you know. So I love it when there's commentaries. I'll seek out a version of the film, you know, that has the most extras and is the best to have. Now, sometimes, you know, I'll have it on DVD because that has the more extras over the Blu-ray. Or, you know, for instance, the film Seven, you know, when it came out in the theaters, there were 2 versions. I don't know if anybody knows this. There was a version that hit about 100 of the cinemas only, and then a wider release for all the others. Now, for the one that hit the cinemas in that 100 version, it was like it's got a silver retention look to it. Now, the only way to view that version of 7 is on the Laserdisc Criterion, which never reappeared on DVD or Blu-ray or 4K. Criterion only released this on Laserdisc. And so this silver retention of the theatrical version on Laserdisc is the only way you can watch it with all the extras on here. Now, I do have 7 on disc as well somewhere. Like, can't see it. Oh, there it is. So if I want to watch that one that I saw at the cinema, you know, without that silver retention look, I can boot up this version, which inside I also, because I did have the Blu-ray, I put the Blu-ray version inside, but this is the special edition version from another country, so it's not cut by the BBFC, and it has loads, all the extras really that appear on that Laserdisc are on here, but the picture isn't the silver retention one, it's the other one. Now, I prefer this over the 4K version, because when the 4K came out, and my Blu-ray, by the way, is the, you know, UK edition, so it'll have cut scenes in it. But when this came out on 4K, David Fincher did a George Lucas on it and started adding AI digital rain, started to remove elements of the film because they'd show up even more in 4K, or alter elements of the film, and it's like, that's not what happened in the theaters. I prefer this over the 4K, and it does look good on my setup. You know, it's totally like a Blu-ray, if anything. So I'm happy with what I've got. But this, for me, I mean, there's many versions of this. There was a New Line edition. There was, you know, every country had their own version of this. But there were so many, yeah. And this is, for me, the preferred way over the 4K, because the version that I choose is the one that I want. And if you're streaming it, you don't get that choice. They just give you whatever they've chosen. And also, we all know Disney. They're famous for chopping up their films. In fact, there is a film called Midnight Madness. I don't know if anybody will remember this now. I watched it back in America when I was young. I remember it heavily. Never seen it on the telly over in the UK. It's not available widely on physical media. Disney don't even, it's a Disney made film, they don't even have it on their streaming service, and they probably never will, because it's such a racy film. It's basically Disney's version of Animal House, and it stars Michael J. Fox's first film role. And it's actually a really fun film to watch. A bit like the Bachelor Party film with Tom Hanks. But this is Disney, so it's full of non-PC things these days, you know. You'd never get away with half the stuff in that film, but it's a really fun film to watch. And, you know, it's not available on streaming platforms. The only way on a streaming platform it's available is on Amazon.com, so an American version of Amazon. You can buy it for $15.99 or rent it for 48 hours for $3.49 if you live in the States, which I don't. So I don't have that choice of, you know, downloading it or, you know, watching it, unless I do the old VPN trick, which I did, so I can then download it to my PC. But on physical media, it is available on DVD. It came out twice, actually, on DVD. They're both full frame for some reason, but the one on Amazon is widescreen. One actually came out by Disney as the Disney DVD, but it's so rare, it's like £100 to buy on DVD, you know. And the first one's like 50 quid, and it's like, I'm not paying 100 or 50 quid for a DVD, you know, when I've got the digital version of it. I'm happy with that, but I really do want that DVD, to be honest. I don't want the digital version, because if my hard drive corrupts or that file corrupts, it's done. I can't watch it anymore, and I've paid for it. So it's like, you know, I'd rather get the physical version. I mean, I suppose I could burn it to a DVD, make my own DVD out of the file. I don't know. Getting into piracy now, which I don't condone, but availability, the number one thing here is availability. Like, I love Queen, by the way, in case you don't know. And Queen have 3 greatest hits, you know, CD albums available. And I've never seen Queen material on any of these streaming apps, except for their movie versions, like Budapest, Live in Budapest, or Live in Montreal, or I think they're the only 2 available on streaming services. But their other stuff, like the greatest hits, you know, albums on DVD, they did themselves. They did Greatest Hits 1, came out in 2002, and has a load of extras on the back there, and all the tracks that you'll find on the Greatest Hits album. And it's a really good set, nice booklet inside. They officially brought that out. Then they brought out Greatest Hits 2. This was in 2003, I believe. And again, loads of extras, making of. You see them all making the videos. It's the music video version, 5.1 surround, really nice. But they never brought out a Greatest Hits 3. On DVD, that is. What they did is they brought it out on Laserdisc and CDI. Now, the Laserdisc is like £300, and I did used to own it. But I don't anymore. But I do have the CDI version. This is the only official way I can actually watch the Greatest Hits 3 album. It's a VCD at the end of the day. But this quality, actually, on my setup, and I've taken some screenshots, so I'll pop them up, is actually really acceptable. Like, I'm happy with what I've got. I think I paid like a $5 for this back in the day. I've had this for years. But it's totally acceptable. And so, yeah, I don't really need that Laserdisc. But in all honesty, you know, you can just make your own. You know, somebody, I'm sure, has ripped the Laserdisc and made a DVD, you know, downloadable thing out of it. And so, you know, you can put together your own cover of what a possible Greatest Hits 3 would look like. Add in all the extras that you think it will, you know, it'll have, you know, and give it a legit Greatest Hits 3. So in all honesty, I do have Greatest Hits 3 on DVD now. I made it myself. And so now I've got the trilogy. But the fact is, my point being, it's available. I have that choice on physical media. I'm having to watch it on VCD. It's not available on Blu-ray or 4K, you know, nor these two puppies. They're official sets, but it's available. You have that choice. And you have the choice of which version you want. But even within physical media, you know, there's like clashes, you know. Point in case, the Amadeus film. I really enjoy this film. I've got it on Laserdisc. This is the director's cut, okay? 20 minutes of extra footage, which in all honesty, I can't imagine what 20 minutes are in the theatrical version, like, have been cut out, because everything's essential, I feel. There's no, you know, padding in this film that you could chop for a theatrical release. I must have, obviously, on TV seen a theatrical release, I think, but on 4K, it's the theatrical release. You don't get the director's cut on 4K. I prefer the director's cut, so I'm never going to get that 4K. You know, this looks good enough. I have my Blu-ray player set up to play Blu-rays at their best, as well as a profile for 4Ks and DVDs. So I flick between the profile, and this looks just as good as the 4K, in all honesty. Like, I see a lot of people putting up comparison shots between Blu-ray and 4K. And I think what it is their player is set to take advantage of 4K, which has got a wider dynamic range than Blu-ray. So, you know, higher whites, deeper blacks, more color. But when then pop in a Blu-ray, which is limited compared to 4K, yeah, it's going to look different because your monitor, your Blu-ray player isn't, you know, calibrated for Blu-ray. So the screenshots are going to make Blu-ray look like shit. But in all honesty, if you calibrate your system, I've got DVDs that look great. They look like Blu-rays because I have a calibrated system, you know. But like even on physical media, the version, you have so much choice on physical media. And I don't know why this choice exists, but it does. You know, Tombstone on the Vista series. This is a 2-disc set. Film on one, extras on the other. I'll be doing a review of this in the future. And this is the version I prefer to watch. I'm not getting the 4K. But there is also another Vista series 1-disc set. So it's just the 1-disc. And it's got the movie and all the extras from the 2-disc. All squeezed onto 1 disc. Now, obviously, picture quality inferior to this set. This set's going to have better picture quality. But who's ever going to want to buy this? Well, I'll tell you who's going to want to buy this. And it's great that you get that choice. There's going to be some hefty boy who is in his lazy boy and he's just finished watching the film and he's like, there's a documentary, the making of. I want to watch that, but I can't be bothered to get off my ass and swap the discs over. I'll get the single disc version and I don't have to do that. I guess. I don't know. I'm into the picture quality preference here, but like this looks amazing on my setup. You know, it looks like Blu-ray. And Blu-rays look like 4K, so I don't need the greatest and the latest. But on digital streaming, none of this choice that we've been talking about is available to you. You just get the one version. And it'll be usually in the highest quality, like it'll be in Blu-ray quality or it'll be in 4K quality, but it will be that one version of the film. There's no director's cuts, extended versions. You know, on the Disney Plus app, you want to watch Coyote Ugly? I've seen this recently, really good film. You're getting the theatrical version only. This is the extended version with 20 extra minutes. And it's pretty racy, to be honest. It's a raunchy film, so I can understand why this is not available, you know. But I really enjoyed this film, and I get the choice to watch the extended cut because I have it on physical media. But on Disney Plus, you only get that theatrical, guys. And obviously, the most famous film, I think, in history, which has had so many different versions, it's got to be Star Wars, guys, hasn't it? You know, on Disney Plus, Star Wars, I believe, is the 4K version, which is identical to the set that came out on Blu-ray, I believe. I don't think they made any changes when it went to 4K. It's the same version of the film, but this Star Wars version on here is not the theatrical version, as we all know. You know, in fact, the theatrical version, the true theatrical version, has never, ever, officially ever been released on home video from Lucasfilm or Disney. Probably never will, but you can go get the bootleg of Star Wars Project 77 and they will put it on a Blu-ray for you. I have digitally on the PC all 3 films. They look amazing. They sound amazing. Way better than the trash that's on here. But if I wanted the true theatrical experience on official home media without bootlegging it, I've got to go, for me, all the way back to this VHS set of the original trilogy. Now, this set came out on Laserdisc as well, but unfortunately, I'm not spending the money, you know, for those Laserdiscs, because they're like almost between £50 to £100 per film. I think this whole set cost me £14 off eBay, most likely because of the weight, you know. But here, like Star Wars, if I want the truest, earliest Star Wars experience of the theatrical version, this is the version I'm going for, and it looks acceptable. You know, it is okay on the setup. It's in widescreen. That's the main thing. It's in widescreen. Obviously, picture quality is not as good as it's going to be on DVD, Blu-ray, or 4K, or even Laserdisc, but it's acceptable. And if I want the official experience, I've got it, you know. Obviously, these versions are still altered from that theatrical version, but they're the least altered, you know. And obviously then, like, if I do care about the picture quality and I want it a little bit more bumped, we got this set on VHS. It's the THX remastered, so the sound and the picture is all for the THX. You know, it's been digitally remastered. Wow. You know. So if I do want that, I have got this. This was a nostalgic purchase at the end of the day, because I did have these back in the day. This is what I bought when it came out before the special editions hit the cinemas. And so this is what I have. Also got this in a tin, so I honestly don't know why I've got this. Maybe I'll do a giveaway for this one. But yeah, so I've got that choice. I've got the choice of which versions I wanna watch. You know, which ones do I want to watch? There's the thumbnail. I got that choice. But also, it doesn't stop there with Star Wars. So we're on 2 versions of the film. 3 if you count the theatrical version. But it doesn't stop there. Because, yeah. So, special edition version now came out, 1997. So if I wanted to have the truest experience of what I saw in the cinema, I can't go to the DVD, unfortunately, because these were altered from the theatrical special edition version to be in line with the prequels. So there's changes been made from when the special edition version was in the theater to when it eventually arrived on home video, these are altered, you know, and then they altered them again for the Blu-ray set. So like digital rocks, Ewoks blinking. George, what were you smoking? Yeah, I've always wanted the Ewoks to be blinking, but we couldn't do it back in 1980. Well, really, mate, because I've seen Harry and the Hendersons, and Rick Baker could get a bloody Yeti to look real in 1986. That was only 3 years prior. I'm sure you could get your Ewoks blinking if you really wanted it. Like, but if I want the true theatrical experience, again, gotta go to Laserdisc. This is the only way to watch the special edition trilogy theatrically. This is the only way you'll get it. It's in the best quality, that is. Like, yeah, VHSs as well, but this is in the best quality, and it's the only way, So I'm not see, this is it. I'm not a format lover. It's got to be on 4K, and every other format is dead. I'm not like that. I'm a film lover, not a format lover. I don't collect formats. I collect films in their preferred version. So I've been rabbiting on about availability and versions of the film. There's only 2, out of the 7 versions. So special features, okay? On everything we've talked about, special features, like I said, mean a lot to me. And even the sound can be classed as a special feature. Point in case, Time Cop. This is a really good film, I think. His best film. Like, I haven't seen Sudden Death, so... But for me, I've got nostalgic love for this film. I really do enjoy it. It's just pure fun. But the version on this set, which is the UK version, so it's cut, it runs at 134 minutes. And there's like 5 different soundtracks on that puppy. You got English, German, French, Spanish, Czechoslovakian. Like, I'm not interested in foreign languages. I speak English. So, but, audio tracks on a film, they take up between 800 megabytes to a gig in size, depending on the length of the film. So, almost 40% of this disc is taken up by the audio tracks that are on this disc. The picture quality on the film is gonna be wank, because it hasn't got the room to breathe. So, as much as I love the cover as well, it's true to the artwork that I saw at the cinema, and I did see this at the cinema, and it's a really good film. Like, this isn't the version I watch. The version I watch, which I get the choice to do, physical media, is the Australian version. Now, this Australian version is the same double-sided disc, dual-layered disc, as the British version. It's uncut. It runs at 138 minutes, so it is the complete version. And the soundtrack on it is a Dolby Digital 5.1 or a DTS 6-track in English, and that's it. So the film's got more room to breathe, is in better quality over this POS, but I do prefer the artwork on that one, so I might just put the disc in there and say no more of it. But I have those choices to make. The special features and the sound choices, to me, are a very big deal, which is why I love the Vista series, because they all come with DTS, and so do the Super Bits. They all come with DTS options, and it's the only way to get a DTS track sometimes for films on DVD. But, like, if I really wanted to watch a film, and, like, I want to watch Black Hawk Down. I really got a bit of Ridley Scott, shooting in me, and I want to, watch that. Which streaming service is it on? I've got to go sign up to multiple ones just to track it down. It's like, Adam, whoa. Put your checkbook away, mate. You haven't got to sign up because you've got it on physical media. But not only this, you've got a 4K and a Blu-ray of it. Why have I got a 4K and a Blu-ray, you ask? What's the point in that? Well, so on the 4K, so it's got 3 discs inside. You got the bonus disc, You've got the theatrical version on the Blu-ray, if you did prefer that one. I can watch that one. But the 4K version is the extended director's cut. And that's beautiful. So not only do I have the choice to watch the theatrical and the extended, but I can watch this whenever I want. You know, if suddenly this came off streaming, I wouldn't have a chance. Sorry, mate, can't watch it. We've lost the rights to stream it. So you're out of luck there. Oh, by the way, as well, you know, when we had it, we chopped it to shit. There was so many scenes missing. It was literally a trailer left because of how gory that film is. You know, Disney are the worst for this one. Like, if you want to watch The Simpsons, you know, on Disney Plus, you're not going to get certain episodes available to you because they were that, like, hardcore that they've just removed them from the whole, you know, app. So episode 3, I think, of series 1 is gone on Disney Plus. You can't watch it. You got to watch it on DVD if you want to see that, you know, puppy. But, like, yeah, so let's just recap through these. Like, the final thing I'm going to say, by the way, is the choice of versions that include special features. So, like, people are going to think I'm a nut now. I'm never going to buy, by the way, Hannibal on 4K. Why? Because I've got it on Superbit DVD. I've got it on the regular DVD, which has bonus features and audio commentaries that are not available on the Superbit one, which has DTS sound and much better picture quality. Although I do have the Blu-ray, but it's the English version, which is cut, you know, whereas this is the oh, that's the English version as well. Bugger! Oh, that was the American version. So I've got 3 copies of the same film. But not only that, this is why I love physical media, because all of these, look how thin these are. Look at, all of them are pretty thin, you know. I honestly thought the Superbit was from America. Shit. So this is the scabby cut version. I might have to get that 4K at the end. But, yeah. These, look how thin they are. And, like, what do they come with? Hannibal comes with sweet FA. You get nothing in there, you know. When it was on DVD the first time round, oh, you got a little booklet. Lovely. Nice little booklet. Okay. And you get the 2 discs, which the case has kind of, you know, seen better days. And the Superbit version. Oh, you get another little booklet. Lovely. Little booklet. It's the same one. Great. But you know what you got on VHS? Check this bad boy out. This is the VHS. Compared to the Blu-ray. This is the VHS version, right, of Hannibal. And it's massive and weighty. It's like a crypt. You open it up. You get the Hannibal journals, right? Stories from the crew during the making in the form of a diary when they were in Italy. This is super interesting. There's behind the scenes things in here that don't appear in the featurettes on the disc. Like, that's super interesting, that is. And you also get the soundtrack. Hans Zimmer's, like, well, I mean, I can't really say that he actually performed and made all these songs. Half of the songs on here are from Bach. You know, like, he didn't do half this album, but he arranged it. It should say arrangements by, not composed by. But you get the soundtrack. That's pretty cool. And then obviously, you know, as well, you get the VHS. And it's in widescreen, so that's cool. So if I ever wanted to watch, like, a Laserdisc-esque version of Hannibal, I just pop this sucker in. I've never played that, so the quality will be pretty good, because it's never been played. But I got the soundtrack. Like, this is what a release is. This is a true release. Like, I do like this because I'll read the book, I'll listen to the music. It's pretty cool. But, I mean, I remember starting this video with, I don't collect just for the sake of collecting. No, I'll use that. But I've got, you know, the 4K version, unless it's completely uncut, is the only reason I'll ever get it. Because the Blu-ray version is, I'm happy with. It looks just identically as good as the 4K on a calibrated system. Don't be duped by thinking the 4K is better. The print's older, and so it's been scanned at a higher quality, picking up more dust and dirt, and that has to be swiped off. That was made pretty much when the film was made, as were these two. I mean, I'll be doing a review of this one, by the way. Anyway, that's my rant about, physical media versus digital streaming. The censorship on films on digital is you're not getting the full version, You're getting what they want you to have, And the overriding factor is your internet has to be working. You're already paying for your internet, and that has to be working. Otherwise, it's buffer city, isn't it? Buffering. Oh, gotta wait for this to buffer. My internet's shit, by the way. So, watching stuff on streaming could be a nightmare if in the area somebody's hacked into my router or something, or I'm on my phone at the same time as watching something, and then the quality dips. The quality on streaming is nowhere near it is on physical media. You think you're watching 4K on streaming? Think again. It's most likely been downgraded and then just sharpened up, because the amount of data that would have to be fed through, it's too big for internet speeds. Plus their servers, they're gonna have loads more room, so you ain't getting 4K when it says 4K, by the way. You might be getting the paper thin 4K, but it's not a true 1024-bit 4K. So the picture suffers, the audio suffers on streaming versus physical media. You don't have to sign up to multiple, streams. Do you know what? I might do a thing where I only spend X amount a year on physical media. That way I've got to be really choosy about what I get. And see how that works. But you're spending thousands a year, or hundreds a year, sorry, on all these different sites. And when you end your subscription, or when they end the service, you've got nothing to show for it. You want to watch Black Hawk Down, you're going to have to go buy the film now. And so you've got to spend the money again to go get it. There's no physical extras really on streaming, just maybe a few scattered here and there. But there's way more on physical media. You can choose the version of the film you want, the quality that you want. And it's available on your shelf, ready to watch whenever you are. You haven't got to go, is it on that site? No. Damn. Got to sign up to this one now to go watch it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on physical media or digital streaming. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thank you so much for listening to my TED Talk. Bye. Imagine if I wasn't even recording that.